Danse. Mitsigasun Priscilla McGilvery. I'm from Saddle Lake, Alberta. This is my husband, Leo McGilvery. We're both from Saddle Lake Cree Nation. We've been invited here at the Manawanas Native Friendship Center here in St. Paul to contribute to the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And we are here to share some songs.
Hi, thank you.
My name is Joyce Steinhauer. I'm here to share about my deceased daughter, Rebecca Hunter. She was murdered in Edmonton, Alberta on November 13th, 2019. She was 35 years old. I guess I'll start at a place about Rebecca. Rebecca was young. When she was born, I wasn't that healthy, but I was lucky to have born her into the world. She was very small. She was a sweet child. She almost died from meningitis at 3 months old. However, the Creator allowed me to continue to raise her. She was gifted with that life to go on living at that time. Becca was a beautiful child who grew into a beautiful teenager. Her personality was her personality was upbeat. You know, she was a hyper girl. She worked hard. She was very imaginative. She was very talented. Sat down with her, she'd talk your ear off. She could never have enough to say. Her stories made a lot of sense that she shared with people. As she grew into a beautiful young woman. She attended school in St. Paul. We traveled some when she was younger due to my jobs and those changes. She was a very smart lady and participated in everything that she could. Becca left home early. She was about 18 years old. She fell in love with a young man and ended up living with him for many years. She had 3 beautiful children, girls, all girls. Their ages are 18, 15, and 11. Brooklyn, Kyla, and Maya. She was very excited to have her babies. Very tough lady. Creator blessed her with 3 beautiful children. She worked hard, Rebecca. When she finished school, she hadn't graduated, so she went back to school. Did that for a few years. And then she gained employment in Saddle Lake at the health center. From there, she went to home support. She worked with the elderly, and she enjoyed working with old people. She enjoyed their humors, their stories. She shared a lot about the old people with me. She was a people person. She got along with everybody she met. But the individual that she was with at that time, she didn't have a very favorable relationship. But she stuck it out, not giving up, carrying on for the benefit of her daughters, and that's where she ended her employment. And as the years went by, 2019 came around. She'd moved to Edmonton during that year, about less than 4 months, 5 months before she was murdered. Becca lost a lot, but she also gained a lot of people's respect. And she held that right till the end. She was very flamboyant. She was happy-go-lucky. She was always happy. She was happy to see people. She was a very good mother with her children. She worked hard. She lived a life that she knew best. She lived her life the way she knew best. And on November 13th, 2019, we got news that Rebecca was found in Edmonton, in a neighborhood where she had gone and partied the night before. I don't believe she knew the people that lived there. However, she was at a party. She was there at this place at the wrong time. I guess they say she was there the wrong place, the wrong time when this incident occurred. And the effects that that had on me and our children were devastating. I guess the best way I can describe that is my life changed before my eyes. I don't know how better else to explain it, but my life was not the same after this occurred. It was totally devastating. It hurt. It was shocking. How could this happen? How could this happen? I won't talk about how it happened. I feel it as her mother in my own soul. What she could have experienced that morning, that early morning. There's no words to describe the devastation of someone being murdered or taken out of your life just in a blink of an eye. There's no words to describe that. It's just horrific. And the impact that that had on me and her children, very traumatizing, very overwhelming. I didn't know which one of my grandchildren to hug. It was kind of difficult to hug them all at the same time. The hurt and pain was totally overwhelming, and it still is today. But I know after it's happened the last 2 years, I've had time to think about it. We've had time to talk about it. The grieving process is still going. I told her children, I said, you know, after all this time, and it only seems like it happened yesterday, that we'll always carry a piece of Becca in us. Becca will be always a part of me because I was a part of her, bringing her into the world and having the blessing of the Creator to give me her for the time that we had her. And I told the children the same thing, as your mom is always going to be a part of you. I was surprised of the support that came from the community. Because like I said earlier, Rebecca knew a lot of people. It seemed like everybody knew her, and they were all very supportive of my community. Some people were very hurt. It was a very emotional time. Who expects something like that? I believe that as an Indigenous woman, when we have a loss, not only in our immediate family, our community and our nation feels it. They feel it big time because it affects them. No one has the right to take someone else's life. No one has that right. But Rebecca will be remembered by many people. I don't know when it's going to be over, if it'll ever be over. And as a family and as a community and a nation, we're all going to feel it if it ever ends. And I don't think it ever ends. It might get less painful, but it never stops. My culture has given me hope. It's given me faith. It's given me courage. Definitely strength to go on. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have a form of spirituality and belief, I think I'd be in a mental institution today, because it's such a horrific experience to go through. So I guess the best I can tell people out there is to pray. Have faith, have hope. Your children are important. Know what they do. Know what they do. Listen to them. Visit them. Talk to them. We don't know. We don't know when our life is going to end on this earth and when our journey is going to start in the next life. Life is too short. We gotta keep our people away from dangerous individuals. And the best way we can do that as mothers is to know where our children are, know what they're doing, continue to love and care for them. Becca will be remembered by many people. Oscomton.
My name is Georgina Cardinal. I'm from Saddle Lake, and I'm the mother of Kimberly Cardinal. I'm here. My daughter's life was taken about 2.5 years ago. We lost her, and I just wanted to briefly say, this is the hardest thing I ever had to go through in my life. Because of the way she died, because of her life being taken. And I had a hard time with her death, and it took me a year to stop really crying, because I used to cry all the time. And from after that, I didn't want to remember how she died, but I always have that memory is always there. It doesn't go away. So I'm trying to replace it by who she is. When I do dinners, I try to remember who she was. Her name was Kimberly Cardinal. She had 3 children. She was my youngest daughter. She was my only daughter, and she was her nickname is Bumblebee, and that was the nickname she was given when she was a little girl. She loved animals. She was a cook. She always cooked with her dad because her dad was a cook. So we do barbecues in the memory of her. And then when we had our dinner Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving, I did a theme about Bumblebee, because I wanted her part of the dinner, so to remember her, that she will not be forgotten. And then she was a poem writer. She wrote poems. When she was a little girl, I noticed her writing all the time. That one day I asked her what inspires her to write poems, and she said that she just has to look at people. She has to look at an object, and she'll start writing. It just comes to her. And she was like, that was her gift, was writing. That was her gift she had. She was, this picture here was the day she went missing. A couple of hours after we took this picture, she went. A couple of hours later, she went to her friends, and this day, it was April 23rd. Me and my husband, once a year we pick a day. It's either Christmas, Thanksgiving, or else Easter. we cook lots of food, me and him, and we go give the meat out. We go give the food out to the public and in town or Saddle Lake. And that day, all my family was there. And then she was one of the cooks to help her dad. We prepared, and me and my sisters went out and give out the foods. And that's what we do as a family. And then how we participate in everything. She was always part of everything we've done. We've always did our mountain trips. That was one of our things. We did the mountains. We always went to the mountains. And I had gotten a picture done of her after she died, a drawing. And I got the picture of the mountain with the eagles and her love for jewelry. She liked turquoise and silver, and she always wore beaded chokers, and that's how the picture was done with her. So I tried to do everything in the memory of her, and just to remember who she was, and because her life was taken. I'm not trying to cover it, but I don't always want to remember her like that because of her children. I always tell her children to remember their mom, who she was to them, not how she died. Because that was the hardest thing, to watch her kids, what they went through losing their mom. Losing their mom that way, because they understood what murder meant. They understood that her life was taken. And they're still coping with it, but it's not as, they learn how to cope with it now, but it's gonna take longer for us as a family. And this is my first time really talking about or sharing about her, because I always wanted to share about her. And I wanted people to know who she was. She was my daughter. She was a woman. She was a mom. She was a friend. And she was I take care of other children, and she always considered them like her brother and sister because I was raising them. And that's how she looked at life. She had issues also. She drank, but she was a human being. Sometimes I don't think that much about it, but sometimes I wish I didn't lose her that way. But I have support. But sometimes as a mother, I feel like I'm carrying it alone. So that's why I think I accepted this invitation, because I wanted people to know what I carry sometimes. And it's okay to ask me, so I'm not afraid to share. She was 34. She would have been 37. She had her children were the world to her. I don't really share the pictures of her children because I'm so overprotective. I really watch them. I really watch her children. I am praying for justice for her death. But I want justice served because she was taken. She didn't have no say. Her life was taken without expecting that to happen. And then I miss her. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy. Sometimes it's hard. I was just sharing with, one of my friends at work. I don't know what's happening with me, but I'm having flashbacks. And then, and then, I said just the other night. When we had the funeral for my daughter, I made them all wear black T-shirts because she liked black, and these native printed hats. And one of those hats was sitting in my closet when I woke up. It never bothered me before, that cap. Never bothered me till I just looked at it. And then I was just having flashbacks of her funeral, how I dressed them according to what she liked, the colors to what she liked. And I told her I don't know why that's happening. I'm just having memories of her death, and sometimes it's just like you can't erase it. It just comes when I see something. But I know that I'm not saying it's gonna go away, but I'm just saying I gotta learn how to. I gotta live the way I lost her. We did our yard to what she liked this past summer. Where she's sitting is where she sat when she smoked. That chair is still there. And there was a bench that she would sit on in front of our yard by the trees. And my husband put a spruce tree there. He planted a tree. And we redid the bench. Because we didn't want to lose it. Because it's where she would sit. We fixed up that bench for her. The color she liked was teal blue. And I put red roses. Because before she passed on, she would always tell me, "Mom, don't look for me. I will send you red roses and that will know that I'm okay." Because when I didn't hear from her for a couple of days, I would look for her. But that time she didn't. My husband said the 6th day, he said, "Did she send a red rose?" I said, "No. You gotta report her missing." So we did. We searched for almost 3 months. Finally, they found her. And they found her. And we laid her to rest August 16, and she died April 23rd. It is, that day is a hard day for me. 'Cause see, I had an older son. I had 3 children. And my oldest son died April 23rd. And then my daughter died April 23rd. just wanted to say, continue to pray for us. And that's all I'm asking, is to keep praying. Keep praying for the mothers, the children, the fathers. For myself, the hardest part is trying to let go of that memory, how she died. Because I know, because they told me how my daughter died, and how she was found, is something that I gotta carry for the rest of my life. This is my daughter, Kimberly Lynn Cardinal.
Hello there, I'm Raymond Jackson. My sister was Lindsay Marie Jackson. My sister was just a normal human being like everyone else. She was misguided. She wasn't put on the right path as, others. She just didn't have the proper support. She had support, but she didn't get enough of it, and that's what I'm trying to do, get as much support as I can. I just wish I was there for her more. I wish it didn't happen how it's supposed to happen, but the Creator wants her, and I accept that, and I'll miss her dearly. The loss of my sister affected me because I don't have a sister. That was my only sister. I had no older sister to turn to. No one to tell me the wonders. And I just couldn't deal with her being lost. I miss her a lot, and I don't want her to be gone, but growing up, she always put me and my older brother, Andrew, before her. She always made sure we ate. She always made sure we had enough sleep. She always made sure if we were starving and we had no food at home, that she would give us money just to go to the store and feed ourselves. No matter what, she always looked out. And I knew she loved us and cared for us deeply. And for now, I tend to do that for her kids, because the little ones need as much love and care for being, without their parents. And I know their parents miss them dearly, and I know they miss their parents a lot. Whenever the kids feel tired, feel sad or anything, I make sure to give them a hug, tell them that I love them and their mom and dad love them. Just, so they don't feel alone and forgotten. I deeply care for those kids. Since her loss, I haven't really taken care of myself, but I just kind of let myself go. I started getting heavily into addiction, and I'm trying to stop that now, because I see where that road leads me to this day. I didn't really take care of my personal hygiene. I just gave up on mostly everything. But seeing the kids every day makes me think that I have to toughen up and pick up all the pieces and move on. Like, help the kids cope with it. and for me to learn how to cope with it too. Like, it's not gonna be easy, but it's definitely gonna be hard. But I will go through it just to see the kids smile, see them happy, because there's they're just so young and unknowing of what happened. Like the oldest, I know he knows, but he needs the most because he knew his parents better. He loved them a lot, and I'm just glad that he was able to do that, and so he can tell his brothers and sister about how good of parents they were, how much they loved him and cared for them. How do I continue coping? I just always spend time with the kids. I always talk to them. I never I try to discipline them, but I don't like to as much use big words. When I do, I take myself out of the situation and try to just calm down and tell them when I'm calmed down. Tell them the difference between the right and the wrong of what happened. I don't think of hitting them. I just want them to understand the words that I'm saying. It's just hard because thinking of her being gone, I know she wouldn't want me to do that to her little ones. Her little ones have always been there. They always tell me everything, anything. And that's how I cope, is I just spend time with them. I try to be as much of a role model to them. I recently started trying to get them into basketball, all four of them. But I didn't force them. I want them to get into it by themselves. So if they like ball, they like ball. But if they want hockey, any sport, then wish them to pursue it. But lately they've been getting into basketball, and that's what I played as a kid. That's what my late sister played as a little kid. Even my brother James. We all were into basketball, and I know that they're gonna want to get into basketball when they're older, and I totally support them for it. They need a role model in their life. They need some kind of father figure. Because I remember this memory of when my late brother-in-law and my late sister, we were all at the hotel, and was Kiefer Jr., his name. Kiefer Jr., I remember they were going out for the night, and I think I was 8 or 9 at the time. I went upstairs to their room, and they were having their own little fun. So I took the Kiefer Jr. to my hotel room, and I just watched cartoons with him. Held him whenever he cried. He was just a little one. He was still in the car seat. And I didn't want him to be sitting there when his parents were doing what they were doing. So I just brought him over to the hotel room till he fell asleep, and put him in my bed, and I slept on the couch. He was too young, and I went through that as a kid. I don't want him to go through that as a kid. It's not easy. It's not a fun ride, but there's gonna be twists and turns. You're always gonna feel that little sadness down deep below. But don't let it get down. Try to think of something to do. Spend time with their little ones, or if they have brothers or sisters. Don't let them feel alone. Always talk to them. Always try your best to interact with them. Do something with them at least. Because I know how they would feel. They don't want to feel alone. And that's how you feel when that happens, is you feel like there's no one to turn to. You're always gonna have someone to turn to. You're always gonna have support. Just try to accept it when it comes to you. Because if you don't, then you're always gonna feel the guilt of not accepting help. And I turned down some support, and I felt guilty about it, but it was out of their kindness of their own heart to help them. I shouldn't feel guilty as much as, just don't feel bad if you don't turn it down, because they heal in different ways at their own pace. I healed at my own pace. Well, I'm still healing, because I think about her every day. Make sure to always look out for one another. And whoever helped you through it, they're no stranger. They're a friend. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Jackson. I'm from Saddle Lake First Nations. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm just fidgeting here. I'm here to share with you about my niece. Her name is Mmiwg Jackson, and she's my older sister is Shelly Jackson, and that was her daughter. And so Lindsay was 26 years old when she passed, and she was a mother to 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. At the time of her husband's death, she just found out that she was pregnant with her youngest, the baby, who's a girl. And I know in our culture we're supposed to put pictures away when our loved ones die for at least a year. And I couldn't live by that because I had these little ones. They were little. And I couldn't live with not talking about her and not showing the picture of her and of their dad, because I made a poster board with them and their dad, but the only one I didn't have was for the baby girl with her dad. But she, just by learning who he was by pictures, she knows who her dad is. And I guess I feel obligated that I took lead with because they were orphaned and because Children's Services asked if I would take them, the kids, and I felt obligated. I've had her kids now 2 years, this past July. And so in our house, in my house, I have their mom's picture right there, and I have the poster boards displayed for them because she loved her kids, and you could see it in the pictures with her. And Lindsay's cousin made a YouTube video, and we played it at the funeral, and the boys, anytime they have access to an iPad or iPhone or whatever, they go on the YouTube and they watch their video of their mom. And it's so important for me to keep the memory alive of their mom, because their mom, She was a mom, she was a daughter, she was a friend to many. She had this laugh. She was real high-pitched laugh. And so whenever you were around Lindsay, you would know that it was her laughing, because that's her laugh cannot be duplicated. Like, her laugh could be heard, and I think that's what a lot of people were attracted to with Lindsay, because she got along so easily with anyone, and she was very friendly. And I remember at one time, because I always hosted the dinners. It was really important for me to do that, because I brought my family together, my sisters, and I always had their kids coming over, and I'd always share a meal with them. And with Lindsay, I remember her at one time, and she was at my house visiting, her and Kiefer with the kids, and she's like, "Auntie, your kids are so lucky to have you as a mom." And I'm like, "Why? Why do you say that?" And she's like, "Because of the way you raised them." She's like, "You're such a good mom." And I said, "Well, you're a good mom. You have your kids. Like, you're trying." And I saw that in her. And her and Kiefer, when they were both alive and when they were together, they always took care of their kids. Their kids always came first with them. And I think after he passed away, that's when she lost her way. She lost her way to trying to live a life with her loss from losing him. And with the oldest, Junior, he's named after his dad. I swear, he's the memory box for all their memories of his mom and his dad when they were together. And so when the little ones, they listen to him, they just sit there and they're in awe about all the memories he has of them. When he talks about where they lived, he reminds them, he's like, "Zadie, you were living with Auntie Carrie at the time, but we lived in the town site." And so yesterday we were in the town site, and it's awful, because the house that they grew up in, they lived in, it's been burnt. It was vandalized because it was a condemned house, but the house, the way it sits is the structure is there, but the whole rooftop is burnt. And so it hurts them having to see the house like that. And I'm like, I often think, well, they should just tear it down. Just tear it down. It's not fixable. And so with these kids, they love their mom and dad. Even in death, they still love their mom and dad. And that's what I always praise them, that their mom and dad is always with us, always helping us. We don't see them, but we can feel them here. And I told them, as long as you can feel your heartbeat, you know that your mom and dad are there. And yeah, it's been tough, but I love my niece. Because I have a circle of supports that I have, like, I always make it available for the kids to participate with me in ceremony. And I think it was my second year in to having them under my care that I brought them to Alexander, and I got them their Cree names. I presented the protocol, and so they were named there at the Chicken Dance Lodge ceremony. And so, and I always remind them, you gotta pray for your name, to your spirit, and this spirit is gonna help guide you and protect you. And so it's participating in ceremony has helped us. I know we live in the city, and it's sometimes hard, but I always keep a listening ear for any lodges that are happening in and around the city, and we go to those lodges as best as we can. And I think that was like, in whatever denomination that you practice, it's your saving grace. And for me, it's been ceremony. And I think it's like when you go for me, when I bring the kids, people comment on how well behaved they are, and I like that because they listen, they're respectful that way. They know they can't be running around or fighting, and that's what I like about them, is that they're so impressionable. They're young and they're impressionable, and that's why I keep it to them that we need to practice our culture at home too, which is smudging, because I don't know, it's like they always say, Kokom, I heard somebody walking, like, and I always have to bring them back into that space that's probably your mom, that's probably your dad, or maybe it's my mom, maybe it's my dad that are here with us, because they never feel fearful of noises that they hear. They're quick to know that somebody is there. And I always say, just pray to it. And so for me, it's our culture that's saving us as a family. I always tell them to pray for their kukum, and to pray for their Muslim, and to pray for their other Muslim, like their paternal side of the family, to just keep praying. And sometimes they say, I know once they said, well, my prayers aren't working because my kukum's not doing, she's not doing good. And then I just tell them, just keep praying. That's all we can do is pray for her. And it's sad because she sees them maybe once a year and it hurts them. But I always tell them, she'll come around. And so I think that's the hardest part, is when they write little letters. They write, Draven's the one who writes letters to his mom and dad. And he's always so, I miss you so much. And I keep them, anytime I find a letter that they write about their mom and dad, I keep them. And it's my own keepsake for them for when they're older, because I collect the things that they do for their parents. There was a jacket, a winter jacket, and I was going through my donation pile, and Junior's like, you can't give this away. This is the last jacket my mom bought me when she was alive. And it had a rip on the shoulder, and he's like, Kokum, can you get it fixed? And when Keisha's older, she can have it. Or when I'm older, my own kids can have it. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, you know me so well, because I tend to hoard stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll keep that jacket. And then it was 3 years ago, my sister Shelley gave me a shirt that belonged to their dad, to Kiefer. And so that I've kept for them. I'm trying to preserve what I can for them for when they're older, and just trying my best to keep them together. And so keeping them with me is keeping them together, and just always trying the best that I can. I'm not perfect, by all means. I'm not perfect. I get stressed out. But I do have my supports that I go to help me, because it's hard. But I think with what I would recommend for families is prayer.